good things must come to an end. Isn't that the law of nature? Throughout the history of humanity, the nature of the world, everything that rises at one point must fall. The Ottoman Empire, the Mongols, the Roman Empire. You could reach the highest of possible peaks, but still come crashing down in a burning blaze of glory. That is especially true in sports. As dominant as Tom Brady was, his career eventually came to an end in embarrassing fashion. Michael Jordan's reign over the NBA ended in him hobbling to the finish line. The Cowboys had a stretch in the 90s where they won a plethora of championships, and now they're the laughingstock of the NFL. You don't know they're the glory days until they're gone, and you rarely know that you're in the downfall while experiencing it. But at the recent uncharacteristic failures of the Kansas City Chiefs, we have to ask ourselves, are we witnessing the downfall of the NFL's newest dynasty? In 2018, Patrick Mahomes took the football world by storm, laying waste to every opponent that had to face him, routinely making gob-stopping plays, racking up numbers like it was a video game. He played the position of quarterback like we've never seen before, pulling moves on the football field that you didn't think was possible, a bag of tricks that ran so deep that it seemed like your mouth would be on the floor every single possession.
Now on Mahomes, he's in trouble. Now gets it away. Are you kidding me?
50 touchdowns for Mahomes in his first year starting. The Chiefs were electric in 2018, and they were the rise of a new era. Like the shiny new ride of the NFL, the cool kids on the block, the unstoppable new kids on the uprising. But flash forward to 2025 and things seem dim. The eruptive offense of the young, early squad, now a figure in the past, Mahomes seemingly regressed, and this Chiefs dynasty seemingly reaching lows that they've never had before. The signs of the Chiefs' regressions have emerged over the most recent seasons. Despite their success throughout their dynasty, the Chiefs have racked up a total of 3 championships in 5 years, making the championship game every season and making the Super Bowl each of the last 3 seasons. Looking at the results, the start that they're having to the season looks staggering. They had a 15-2 season last year, and then they made it to the Super Bowl. It shouldn't be this way. Look, while their record isn't ideal, it usually shouldn't spell the end of a dynasty. But the way the Chiefs have performed despite their wins dating back to last year, and the steady decline in their play, you can't help but feel dread for the direction of this Kansas City team. In the 2022 to 2023 season, the Chiefs were rolling per usual. This was in the middle of their dynasty, and at this point, they were a well-oiled machine. They started off 9-2, easily winning the West per usual, and ended up racking up 5 straight wins to collect a 14-3 record and the conference 1 seed. In the postseason, things were not much different. They ticked off 3 more victories to chop things off and gained Super Bowl number 2 for Mahomes. This was usual peak football for the Chiefs. They scored the most points in the league, had the most passing yards in the league, had the most total yards in the league, and the most proficient production in the league. This is how Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs rolled. This is what they did. He was superhuman, unbelievable, unstoppable, so good that he won himself an MVP and played his way to a ring. The next season, things were a little bit different. They started off rolling 6-1, the regular dominance of the Chiefs. Unfortunately, the second half of the season was rocky. Over the last 10 games, the Chiefs went 5-5, losing games to the lowly Raiders and a Russell Wilson-led Broncos. And I mean, this wasn't a good look. The usual dominant rulers of the league being sloppy and not only losing to far inferior teams, but having long stretches of the season where they played below their expectations. They ended this season 11-6, which is of course solid for a playoff team, but for a team that is as dominant as the Chiefs, suiting up to play in the wildcard round isn't something that should be expected. Still though, they won. They won the wild card round handily, cruised through the divisional, beat the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl, and got an overtime win over the San Francisco 49ers in a rematch. Despite the rocky end to the season and the sloppy play of the Chiefs, it still didn't stop them from the ultimate goal of winning the Super Bowl. The end result was the same, but the path to get there was a little bit different. Offensively, the Chiefs fell from the best in the league to a fringe top 10 one. Defensively though, they jumped to one of the best in the NFL. And this was a really transformative era for the Chiefs. At the dawn of the Chiefs dynasty, they were so offensive heavy and shootout heavy, but through some shifts in team construction, by 2023, they had turned into a more defense reliant team with some big plays sprinkled in from Mahomes. The next season, they pushed this formula to its limit. In 2024, the Chiefs won. They won a lot. They started off 9-0, only losing one game against the Super Bowl contender Bills to make them 9-1. The next game they lost was one where they sat their entire starting lineup. They ended the regular season 15-2. You know, that's great, right? Like the Chiefs. The Chiefs are back. They're back. Look at all the wins they have. No one could beat them. All the concerns that they had last year should be gone, right? Look at their record. Yeah, no. In the 2024 to 2025 NFL season, the Kansas City Chiefs won almost every single game by one score. Their margin of victory was so slim comparative to their record that the Kansas City Chiefs looked pedestrian. I mean, it looked like they lucked into these wins. Week after week, it seemed like some demonic entity was forcing the Chiefs to win the game. Toe out of bounds, phantom PI call, blocked field goal, doink off the upright, whatever this was. I mean, despite the record, the Chiefs were winning so many slim games. And with the crazy luck and the occasional controversial call, I mean, were they really that good? They continued the trend in the playoffs, where they beat the Texans in, you guessed it, a one-score game, beat the Bills in very controversial fashion. Oh, by the way, another one-score game. I mean, this looked like a script written out of a fairy tale. The Chiefs were dinking and dunking and scrapping their way to a Super Bowl, one that they might actually win. Yes, despite the slim margin of victory, despite them barely winning games the entire year, the Chiefs, the evil entity of the NFL, might actually sneak their way to the Super Bowl. They might actually win. Yeah, they didn't win. You guys know this. I think that season of Chiefs football has to be the most bizarre NFL season I've ever seen. And I don't blame you if you agree wholeheartedly. Listen, the Chiefs' formula for winning was the strangest one ever implemented. They weren't particularly good offensively, and they weren't even particularly good defensively. They would just hang in games with anyone, and in the fourth quarter, turn the knob up to 100. Patrick Mahomes had the best fourth quarter quarterback rating. The offense was the most productive in the fourth quarter. They would basically just be in cruise control for the entire game and cut shit loose in the fourth. As simple as that sounds, and as unimpressive as the margin of victory may look, not everyone could do that. Like, look, to do that successfully, it'd take really good coaching, something the Chiefs have, and a guy who could take over the game whenever they'd want, Patrick Mahomes. In the 2024 season, the Chiefs mainly relied on just controlling the ball for the majority of the game, and they'd use that advantage to dictate and control the flow of the game. Unfortunately, that got obliterated completely by the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and that led them into this season. Okay, cool. How does that connect into this bad start by them? Throughout the 3 seasons I described, the Chiefs' identity and process as a team shifted completely. That 2022 season was representative of the golden age, high-fly offensive juggernaut traditional Chiefs, where Mahomes was awesome. Interestingly enough though, that 2022 season was after they traded Tyreek Hill, and despite losing that weapon, they continued their offensive dominance, and Mahomes even won an MVP. The real shift happened the year after, in the 2023 season. Okay, now things might get a little complicated. The year before Mahomes' 2022 MVP season, teams began featuring more of a too-high look against the Chiefs, limiting the big play threat that they feasted on with Tyreek Hill. They actually struggled a bit against it early on, but ended up adjusting mid-season to a more methodical dink and dunk type style. So in the 2022 offseason, they could get away with trading Hill and turning the Chiefs offense into a more role-oriented type. Travis Kelce was sensational for the Chiefs, absolutely headlined the star power for the pass-catching options. Juju Smith-Schuster was a jack-of-all-trades wide receiver. Marquez Valdes-Scantling was their deep guy, and Pacheco was able to emerge as a solid rushing threat. That's why their offense was incredible, and contrary to popular belief, that the shift away from the big play threat was the biggest change for the Chiefs. The biggest statistical change was from 2022 to 2023. That was the first season where the Chiefs had large stretches of poor offensive play, but they locked in when it was time to lock in, and their defense was incredible the entire season. When it was time to win, they relied on clutch play and stellar defense to pull out pretty good wins. There was many reasons for the regression offensively. Juju Smith-Schuster was gone and was replaced by Rashee Rice, and the receiving core faced some injuries. But that wasn't really what messed up the offense. What messed up the offense was the regression of Travis Kelce that season. Now, don't get me wrong, he was still capable of a big game, but instead of being the unbelievable receiving talent for Mahomes, he was a lot more pedestrian. Still though, timely plays and great defensive ability led to a Super Bowl win for Mahomes and the Chiefs. In that 2023 season, the Chiefs relied somewhat on phoning things in during the game and then locking in when they really needed to. It was a stark difference from their high-fly 2018 juggernaut offense. They're a lot more methodical, a lot less explosive, a lot more savvy. Instead of trying to overpower their opponent with offense like they did in 2018, they relied on clutchness and their good defense in 2023. In 2024, they literally pushed it to the limit. I already explained what happened, but Travis Kelce regressed further, Rashid Rice got injured, Pacheco got hurt, and Hollywood Brown was out for most of the season. And if you want me to be really honest, the defense regressed too. And that's how you got that terroristic run from the Chiefs, where it seemed like a demonic presence was lurking over Arrowhead. The Chiefs didn't have a Tyreek Hill and wasn't that explosive team anymore. The days of superstar Travis Kelce was far behind it, so they couldn't replicate that 2022 style. Most of their other receivers were hurt, so their offense was capped even further, and they couldn't really replicate the 2023 path exactly because the defense wasn't good enough for them to rely on. They worked through this by focusing on ball control, Mahomes literally being the clutchest quarterback in the NFL, working out wins, and a ridiculous amount of good luck, like an insane amount. And to be clear, that method is not viable at all, and it's kind of the reason they've underperformed this season. Travis Kelce has regressed even more. Rashid Rice has been suspended for the entire season, and Xavier Worthy got injured on the first play and was out for like 3 weeks. The run game is still bad, probably worse than last year, and the defense is not at that 2023 level where they could lean on it. If you really want me to be honest, the defense has been below average this season. So for the Chiefs, it's literally been the 2024 formula, but without Xavier Worthy, with an inferior Travis Kelce, and I guess Hollywood Brown. But honestly, the thing is, I mean, nothing's really changed from last year. Like, they could easily have a much better record than they have right now. For example, the losses in week 1 and 2 could have easily replicated games that they won last year. But unlike last year, the balls just didn't bounce in their direction. It's kind of crazy. The Chiefs had a lot of really good luck and a lot of unbelievable clutch performance on both sides of the ball. And they've kind of been ignoring their regressing facilities and relying on their unbelievably elite players to push them through whatever demerits they may have. When Tyreek Hill left, their offense was centered around Travis Kelce being unbelievable. But Travis Kelce isn't unbelievable anymore. Patrick Mahomes' play is night and day between his 2018 version and now. Still though, I don't think the dynasty is done.
As much as people don't like to admit this, Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the world, and Andy Reid is still the best offensive mind in the world too. With that pair, they'll make a lot work. Of course, cracks in the armor have already appeared in this dynasty, dating back to last season, but they've been able to mitigate it with their unbelievable top-end talent. The Chiefs dynasty, headed by Mahomes, will never collapse, but they will retool, adjust, take a different direction. And believe it or not, the Chiefs have already went through multiple retoolings throughout their dynasty, trading away Tyreek Hill, bring in Travis Kelce, switching away from the offensive-led team to a more defense-oriented one, and the hyper ball control clock-draining offense they had in 2024. As time progresses, teams that are well-run, like the Chiefs, will figure it out one way or another. They'll never truly go away until the figureheads go away. The Chiefs dynasty is not over. Honestly, it's just getting started. Like always, if they ever struggled, they'll just pick a new direction. That's what good organizations do, and that's what talented teams do. It's going to be a long time till the Chiefs have their downfall. So, get comfortable. Don't get your hopes up.